This is Valley News Live at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jillian Trudeau. As we continue to follow the investigation into the deadly hit and run in Foster County, the North Dakota Attorney General is now speaking out. 18-year-old Kayler Ellingson was hit and killed following a street dance in McHenry, North Dakota last weekend. The driver allegedly admitting to hitting Ellingson on purpose. Attorney General Drew Wrigley says, quote, "The loss of a young life is always a tragedy. Outrageously, in this case, it is alleged that the suspect admitted that his actions were motivated by a dispute over political beliefs. There's no place in civil society for this hateful violence." Wrigley says political violence has become all too common and must come to an end. Wrigley adds the Bureau of Criminal Investigation is working on this investigation, and the Attorney General's office is assisting Foster County in the case. A New Rockford bar is holding a fundraiser tomorrow to help the family of Kayler Ellingson. Buckets Bar is donating 100% of its Saturday sales to the family. The owner says Kayler was a respectful, smart, and kind man, and his death is a terrible loss to the community. New at noon, Bismarck police are investigating a murder they say happened at Motel 6 early this morning. Police say they received a report of a shooting just after 12:30 a.m. and they found a 28-year-old man dead with a gunshot wound to the chest. Police say this was a targeted attack and there was no danger to the public. Well, let's see what the weather is in store for us today with meteorologist Lisa Green.
Well, good afternoon. Today it's been gloomy on this Friday. We're looking at a lot of clouds out there. There are some places getting some blue sky breaking through, including in the Devil's Lake Basin. But on the flip side here, we've got thunderstorms rumbling through in northwestern parts of Minnesota. These started off near Fargo and Grand Forks, and they've been just drifting their way to the north and east as we've been going through the morning hours and now into the afternoon. So Red Lake Falls getting hit by some thunder and lightning. Let this pass before you step outside here today. Crookston looks like things are starting to quiet down. Thief River Falls, you've got this moving in your direction as well. And over into places like northern Clearwater County, we've got some rain and thunder affecting us there too. I want to go back to our wider view here just to show you. I've also been noticing a little bit of development down here in southeastern parts of North Dakota. So we could see more thunderstorms popping up there. And that's something I'll be watching for through the rest of the day today. Areas where we start to see more thunderstorm activity and eventually the possibility for some rain going on for places that may have been a little quieter. Here's a look at our current conditions. It's cool. We're looking at 50s to around 60 degrees right now. It's 57 in Fargo, and it's windy. Our steady winds are into the teens. Gusts have been getting into the 20s and 30s, so it's just unpleasant outside right now, even if you're not dealing with rain. So a look at our hourly planner. Temperatures don't really go anywhere for the most part here. We will see more chances at some rain heading into this afternoon and tonight. So when I come back, we'll walk you through that in our hour-by-hour planner and take a look at that weekend forecast too.
Definitely a gloomy one out there. Lisa, thank you. The sergeant assigned to supervise convicted murderer Chad Isaak the day of his death has been fired. DeAndre Adams was fired after an internal investigation showed he did not perform proper checks on inmates on Sunday, July 31st. Officials say Isaac's cellmate left the cell for about an hour, during which time a piece of cardboard was placed in the window to obstruct the view. Adams walked past the cell during that time but did not follow procedure to remove the cardboard to check on Isaak. The cellmate returned to the cell to find Isaak hanged himself. Adams had 2 previous disciplinary actions in his personnel file. He has the option to appeal his firing within 15 working days. Authorities are trying to figure out what happened before a train hit and killed a man in downtown Fargo. Police were called shortly after midnight to the 400 block of North Broadway. They say a possible witness called it in and officers discovered the victim's body. No other information is being released. Moorhead police are still investigating a bizarre situation where a damaged car was found sideways on a road this morning. This video shows the car cross 2 lanes on 8th Street South right by the I-94 exit. The car has serious damage to the front, but police aren't sure how it happened. Officers say when they showed up, the car was abandoned and no one was around. A 9-year-old North Dakota boy is being treated for life-threatening injuries after being hit by an SUV. It happened yesterday morning on Highway 23, just west of Newtown in Montreal County. The North Dakota Highway Patrol said the child was standing in the traffic lane when he was hit. The driver kept going, but was later located. Charges against the drivers are pending. The boy was airlifted to the Minot Hospital. There's a bite in the air today, but there's another sign of what's just around the corner. Snowplow drivers are now in training in Minnesota. Esme Murphy takes us to a training site where drivers are being trained and tested.
This sunny parking lot hardly recreates snowy conditions, but trainees tell us it's critical to getting used to driving a plow. One of the most important lessons, visibility.
You're always checking your mirrors. Always. We have 6 points of view on our trucks.
Trainee Daniel Wilson told us he gets graded every day on how he drives and backs up through these cones. Every day the goal is to get better.
Well, in the beginning it's difficult because you're not used to having something so big in front of your truck.
MnDOT tells us every year there are about 100 snowplow car accidents. These local snowplow drivers agree the public needs to be aware.
Watch out for the plow drivers, just try to be courteous to us. We're just trying to do a duty and just try to clear the roads for you guys.
New drivers are training right now in a 2-week course at Camp Ripley. The DOT says in a couple of weeks, they'll have 1,600 snowplow drivers around the state ready to go. A historic night for the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks. The team won its first championship since joining the American Association of Professional Baseball back in 2011. The Redhawks defeated the Milwaukee Milkmen in an instant classic. They were down by 6 runs before rallying to win it all at the bottom of the 10th inning. Manager Chris Coase said this win means the world to his team and the organization. Coming up at noon, the party in the parking lot just got pricier. We'll explain how inflation is impacting tailgating. But next, weather to plan your day.